Alright guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, but definitely something that I wanted to take some time to go over. It's nothing good, but something we definitely have to acknowledge in my opinion, and it's not a topic I was expecting to be talking about. I mean, we talk about video games here, we enjoy video games, and we get into all of the ins and outs of the pros and cons of the video game industry. And one of the things I'm going to be highlighting here today is definitely a big con of the video game industry. And it's not just exclusive to the video game industry, it's everywhere, it's all around, unfortunately. But what I'm talking about is something that transpired on Twitter in the last 24 hours in regards to God of War, the delay and the announcement of it being cross-gen, and developers over there at Santa Monica Studio. Again, this is not something I thought we would be talking about, but here we are, unfortunately. I want to make it very clear before I get into this that I do believe that we are able to have mature and hopefully constructive conversations about the pros and cons of a game like God of War being cross-gen or being delayed or anything else, right? Anything else involving these games. I'm not saying that a game cannot be criticized or should not be criticized. I'm not saying that there are no cons and we should only be happy and feel good. No, I feel like I have to say that because I know that unfortunately some people perceive that. But what we're going over here today is not that, sadly. We're not talking about the pros and cons of a game like God of War being cross-gen. We're talking about devs who are working on this game experiencing harassment and abuse in a way that it's not shocking because you see it all the time. But I think every time it just makes you feel disgusted because you think, how can people behave this way? I mean, they're obviously cowards. They're hiding behind a keyboard. That's why they're able to do it, and able to do it so frequently, and that's why we continue to see it, unfortunately. So anyway, I digress. We're going to get into what happened here. So over on Twitter, we have Alana Pierce. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with her. She has a pretty big presence on social media and YouTube, and we learned a little while ago that she was actually hired by Santa Monica Studio as a writer. So she is a developer over there at Santa Monica. She's writing maybe the next God of War. If not that, most likely she's helping with the writing on the new IP that Santa Monica Studio is working on, their unannounced title. And she tweeted this out not too long ago. She said, "Aside from the ones I got for being hired in the first place, I think this is my first game dev related abusive message. I've finally been initiated. Look at me go." Now, obviously, she's being very sarcastic here, which is understandable, making it clear that this is something that's happening and she's taking it in stride. I mean, what else can you realistically do? And so to read the message here, I'm unsure if I'm actually going to put the entire message up or any of it at all on screen because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Some very vile, nasty things being said here. What I will tell you is that I will have it linked down below, her Twitter or Cory Barlog's Twitter, so you can go read the entire thing for yourself. But this coward of an individual says, "LMAO, you get hired, then God of War is delayed, first time ever. Too busy dreaming about getting gang blanked by all your simp Twitch subs to actually do work. LMAO. Hope it happens and someone streams it and you get fired because they all know you are a useless blank and the game comes out 2021 and PS5 only." Again, it's not shocking to see somebody on the internet type something like this to another human being. It always blows my mind that there are human beings out there who just have no problem doing this. I guess I just don't understand the mindset. I don't understand what has to actually be wrong with you to think this is okay. I mean, I guess the closest thing I can get to it is maybe these people think it's just one big joke. That's the only way I can kind of maybe understand why somebody would just do this like it's nothing. They just think it's a joke. And maybe to some people it is, but from where I'm sitting, it's not. You know, it's sad, it's vile, it's disgusting, it's unacceptable. Frankly, it's unacceptable. Not just for game devs, but anybody. You know, I want to make that clear. This is unacceptable when it comes to anybody. But I can't help but sit here and be frustrated a little bit because I think, you know, these are game developers who are just focused on trying to make a game for us to play. You know, they're very passionate about it. They care very much. But we have Cory Barlog, who is clearly very frustrated and very upset about what's happening here. And so he quote tweeted this, and he said, "For real, this is some BS. You want to be mad at somebody for anything God of War related? The delay, PS4 and 5, trolls, subtitle size, SIG-run, whatever. Be angry with me. I made the calls. I did this. Don't bother the team. They are all very good people doing great work." And he continues on here by saying, "Every single human at the studio is there specifically because they are effing exceptional at what they do. We are better because of them. Hell, I am lucky anyone is willing to lend their talent and intellect to my BS. For some reason they do, and I love them for it." And what's interesting is an individual responded to Cory Barlog and they said, "That's not us. Look at the support you got when the delay was announced. Yes, address it, but please don't put us in the same group of idiots." And Cory Barlog did respond to this and he says, "Sorry, if you don't do it, then it doesn't apply to you. I got limited characters here, so total clarity is not always possible. But it still stands that my anger over decisions made about a game is 100% on me. People mad, my DMs are open." Now, unfortunately, you know, there are going to be people on the internet who perceive this or kind of paint it a certain way, such as, "Oh, look at that. Alana Pierce needs Cory Barlog to defend her." I don't think she does. I think that that's been made very clear here, and I don't think it's fair to make it seem as though Cory Barlog is doing anything wrong. He's absolutely not. In fact, I think he's doing the right thing here. You know, he is the face of Santa Monica Studio at this point. He's the face of God of War currently, right? And obviously, if you were in his position, you don't want to see this. You know, you don't want to see this ever, but you know, to lead a team of people, you know, to be focused on delivering another great game and to put all your, you know, blood, sweat, and tears behind it, all of your passion into it, and to see like the people that you're working with, you know, have to experience this type of harassment and abuse, you know, he kind of makes it sound like, hey, you know, channel that towards me because I'm the one making these decisions. If you're mad, and the reason why he said this, if you're wondering, is because this, you know, cowardly individual who said this, at the end, he says, "I hope the game comes out 2021 and is PS5 only," as if that is somehow justifying the way he is speaking to another human being here when it's absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's why Cory says this, because he's saying, look, if you're trying to, you know, mask your vile, putrid text here behind the guise of, "Oh, well, I'm just upset that God of War's cross-gen and isn't coming out this year," then direct it towards him. Because as he says here, he's the one making these calls. And he wants to, you know, he wants to protect his team. And I respect that because you know what? It's a difficult thing to witness, obviously. You don't want to see anybody. And Cory doesn't deserve it either, right? Like, that's the thing is like, these are not messages that any developer working on God of War right now, or anybody in general, as I said, these are not messages that anybody should ever have to see, read, or tolerate, right? Because it's unacceptable. But we're talking about people who are in the process of trying to make a video game that millions and millions of people are excited for. It's like I said at the beginning of this video, we can be upset that it's cross-gen, right? We can have criticisms about that. We can have discussions about that. We can be upset about any of the things that are listed here, right? But this is not how we go about it. And I know that everyone listening to this, or at least I would hope everyone listening to this understands this. And I understand that, me making this video, Cory and Alana Pierce acknowledging this, it's not going to stop it. It's never going to stop. That's just the way the internet is. It's easy for people to just hide behind their keyboard and be cowards. Unless there's something seriously wrong with somebody in the head and they need help, I highly doubt this, they would say anything like this to somebody's face. But it's much easier. I mean, there's something wrong with you, in my opinion. There's something wrong with you if you can even type this out and send it to another person. But, I feel like people who do this, they look at it as like it's just a joke. And I don't know why people do this. I don't know what drives them to feel like this is what they should be saying to people. I think the worst part of this, right? The worst part about people who do stuff like this is obviously that they're just vile people saying vile things, but it ultimately hurts in a more broad way. What I mean by that is this removes the ability to have an actual conversation about the pros and cons of a game like God of War being cross-gen, or about the game being delayed, or anything else. It completely removes it. You know what I mean? Because how can you have that conversation when somebody's in the room saying stuff like this? You can't. It removes the ability for constructive criticism, or the ability for fans or anybody else to have any constructive criticism. And I think that ultimately is unfair. And that's why you see an individual here getting upset, because they don't, people who are supportive, people who are behind this or are okay, with it, they don't want to feel like they're being grouped in with morons like this. They don't. And, Cory's a smart guy, obviously. And I'm sure Alana Pierce understands as well that they're not grouping people like us, people who are just excited for the game, or who may have some concerns about it being cross-gen. We're not being grouped in with, dumb people like this who say stuff like this. So I wouldn't worry about that. But it's unfortunate that it removes the ability, seemingly, to have that conversation in a more productive way. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the video. This is not the only video I plan to have out today. I plan to have a regular news-based video out, but I definitely wanted to take some time to talk about this, because it just, I go check Cory Barlog's Twitter, checking to see what's going on, and hoping to, see some exciting stuff, some teases, whatever, him trolling as usual. And instead, this is what I see, and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, man. It may sound cliche, it may sound cheesy, but it's like Kratos said, be better. Right? I feel like it's not that hard. In this case, it shouldn't be hard at all. Just don't do stuff like this. It's not difficult. Just don't do it, right? Anyway, that does it for the video. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, or if you agree with me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.